This is a 2019 UltiMaker 3, and in this video, I'm going to show you how this guy paid for itself. This 3D printer I have next to me held a purchase price of $3,495 5 years ago. However, the story I'm going to unfold today explains how by using the utility of the printer as a service, the printer paid for itself in the months following. Let me start off by saying I don't acquire debt or use personal loans for business. This printer was purchased with the full $3,495 in cash, but how I got that cash starts with a different 3D printer altogether. A small DIY 3D printer kit I bought for $200 back in 2018. This kit had loads of different issues, but we'll get to those later in this video. See, right out of college, I had a theory that I could make money 3D printing prototypes for customers so long as I had a 3D printer, of course.
Yep, I can see it now.
Problem being, I didn't have one, and the cost bridge to acquire one seemed so large that it didn't make it worth it. That was until I discovered DIY 3D printer kits. These kits come with all the parts needed to build a 3D printer, and usually an instruction manual that happens to be in a different language. And all you need is a little time and labor.
Time is money. Right.
And the ability to watch some YouTube assembly tutorials to get this thing up and running, and you're set to go. In fact, here's my assembly time lapse from back then just for fun.
How's it going, everyone? My name's Adam. I wanted to upload this video assembling this 3D printer. I think that everyone should have an opportunity to do if they have any interest in getting into the engineering and design field.
I was working as a sales associate at Nordstrom at the time, actually. Right out of college, I moved down to the Bay Area and needed some sort of income, and there wasn't a lot of extra income for recreational spending while working that job and living in the Bay Area.
Staying educated, bro.
So this low barrier to entry of $200 made the opportunity so much more attainable. So great, I thought, now I'm on my way to make millions. However, what I didn't know was that these printers needed to be tampered with on a daily basis to ensure their alignment settings were correct and the parts produced were of high enough surface quality such that, I could charge customers for them. The kit came with bent threaded rods and stepper motors that needed to be replaced, but I guess it was kind of to be expected with the price. But don't let that discourage you. These are easy fixes with just a little bit of research on how to repair. After about a week of tampering, I listed my service on Yelp and had a handful of customers eager to print prototypes. I started charging anywhere from $40 to $80 per print, and by the time I knew it, I had made $500 from prints alone, meaning the printer had already paid for itself. The money basically went back into printing filament, but the business model at that point seemed to be working. After about 1 month, I had held $800 in cash, and while doing this on the side, and had made that all with a small cash investment of $200. This was 6 years ago, so the technology has improved massively, and companies in big tech pay loads of money to 3D print prototypes of the highest quality, right? PolyJet, SLA, high resolution FDM, and the DIY kit that I had, and to be honest, the only 3D printer to this day that I've actually ever purchased has been FDM, or fused deposition modeling. This is the least expensive printer type and typically presents the worst quality surface finish. I'm by no means guaranteeing that by buying a $200 DIY FDM printer nowadays is going to be able to compete with prototype companies strictly dedicated to this, like Proto Labs or Fathom, for example. However, you may be able to attract customers on a consumer level outside of, say, big tech who don't need that level of quality and probably don't have the pockets to support that cost anyways. These are customers probably looking to, say, print game pieces or props or simple brackets for home projects that they simply don't have 3D printers to accomplish that task. So let's fast forward to 2018. I had a lull in the business because I was constantly moving. I landed in Portland, Oregon, and then relisted my printing service on Yelp. At that time, I wanted to purchase a higher resolution FDM 3D printer to attract more customers. I realized the cost, again, was upwards of $3,500 for the printer I wanted, so I determined I needed more cash flow. So I listed a different service as well. Design engineering, like product design engineering, using CAD, what this whole YouTube channel is about. It requires zero capital. You might be saying,
how does getting involved with CAD software require zero capital? Isn't CAD software like really expensive?
And to that, I would say typically yes, but there is an avenue which does not require capital. Softwares like Fusion 360 and FreeCAD give engineers and designers interested in this field a low barrier to entry. Like Fusion 360, for example, is free for hobbyist use.
It's free! It's free! It's free! It's free! It's free! It's free! It's free!
And if you've made no money in a business, I guess it's not a business, it's a great place to start. Autodesk claims that after you've earned $1,000, you have to pay for a business license, which is fair, I guess. But if you're not there yet, then you can learn it for free. So you can sign up for Fiverr and list yourself as a product designer, or list yourself on Yelp locally and charge for CAD work. If you want to also offer prototype services, you can incorporate an upfront cost to print your parts at prototype labs that already exist and offer full service product development without the risk of investing in those machines yourself. And if you want to start prototyping in-house, then you can buy a low-cost printer with the money earned and build from there. For those interested, I did a quick search on AliExpress and found some off-brand kits for around $220, which are similar to like the Prusa i3 Mark III. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. I've never personally used this exact one, but these are similar to the DIY kits I purchased when I first got started. This is exactly the workflow I followed. It makes it so much easier to de-risk an expensive hardware purchase, which quite honestly may or may not make you your money back, depending on the upfront cost of the machine you're about to purchase. Once I had enough money saved in the bank to purchase a nicer FDM printer, in this case, that was the UltiMaker 3, I was able to acquire a printer using funds outside of my day job. This is a great talking point because things that generate revenue outside of your 9-to-5 job almost feel kind of free when you can A, purchase with cash earned outside of your day job, and B, earn continued profits from those purchases. Let's paint a picture here. We've got two scenarios, scenario A and B. Scenario A, you work a 9-to-5 job, you save for a 3D printer, and then you list yourself on Fiverr or Yelp for printing services, and you hope you get a return from your 3D printer. And scenario B, you learn Fusion 360 for 1 month, you list yourself on Fiverr or Yelp as a designer, you hope to get a Fiverr or Yelp job, but you don't need to get a return because the only thing invested was your time. Eventually, you can save up from those Fiverr and Yelp jobs and purchase a 3D printer. Scenario B provides a potential revenue stream which gives you a skill which then de-risks the worry behind needing to achieve a return from your 3D printer investment. So let's bring the story back full circle now. By acquiring a new skill, I basically landed an FDM 3D printer which was able to pay for itself and continue to build income. I wanted to share this revenue roadmap with you all to show that there's always a different approach which doesn't require you to put a printer on credit, for example, and doesn't require you to use the excuse,
all 3D printers are just too expensive,
to prevent you from getting into the industry. Even if you don't want to turn this into a long-term business, you can always use this roadmap for, say, a season to gain some extra cash and purchase new tools and equipment that maybe you only want to use for hobbyist use too, and that's completely okay. To this day, I use my 3D printer less and outsource to Proto Labs and Fathom on a more regular basis, as it saves me time in the long run, and they fabricate parts using additive processes on a much more regular basis, so they're just better experts at producing those than I ever will be. I will note though that if there's ever a project I think is interesting enough, I can always pivot back and have this tool in my back pocket. Thanks so much for watching, and if you found any value in this video, please like and subscribe. Share with your friends, and I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks.